right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Bedo's Media. Yes, we are officially on episode 2 of season 4. And as always, we bring you conversations which people talk about within their own little circles or think about, but they don't want to tell anybody else just in case they get shunned down or they're seen as the minority and all that kind of stuff. And this is where we have those conversations. We have the conversations which you're too scared to have. Yeah, I said it. We have the conversations which need to be had because the thing is, when we have a minority voice speaking louder than the majority opinion, this sways public opinion. And people assume, therefore, that that's the said thing or the done thing, and that's the norm. But it's not usually the norm. And we had this discussion about feminists. If you remember, those of you who have been following us in season 3, we had a discussion about feminists. And it's just so happened that most people, most women, didn't even agree with the feminist points of view that we were discussing at the time. So today, we are discussing anything and everything about mentors and coaches. Now, let's face it, I doubt there's any of you on social media who either isn't a mentor or a coach or doesn't know a mentor or a coach connected to one. Okay. And shoot me if I'm wrong, but I can bet my life on it that that's going to be the case. And that being said, we understand that there are good coaches out there, there are legitimate mentors out there, but there are some of them who take us for fools and actually take us for a ride, not on their coach. And that's what we want to discuss today. Okay, so with today's discussion, there's obviously myself and Ali here, and we're having that discussion. And Ali doesn't really come from a coaching background. He's seen so many coaches around, and he thinks they're godsend, and he has very high opinions of them. Right? We have guests today who are established coaches, people with credibility, who we will be discussing with what being a coach actually means, what are coaches, what are mentors, what's the difference between them, how do you do your due diligence, how do you sift out the bullshitters, in plain and simple words. So without further ado, let me introduce to you, first of all, we have Taf. Yay!
Alaikum.
Walaikum salam, Taf. Welcome to the studio. And we also have Abid. Yay!
Good evening.
Walaikum assalam. Thank you for joining us.
Good to have you back on our screen.
Thank you, Abid. Thank you very much. You know what? It's actually been a year since we'd finished season 3 and started season 4. So much stuff has been happening in between. We decided, you know what? When we want to come back, just as good coaches should, we need to be in a resourceful state of mind and not just do things for the sake of it. Did you like what I did there? Wait, hang on. There's a thing for that, isn't there? No, it's not that. There's a sound effect for that, but I missed it. The joke's gone over our heads. Anyway, welcome to Bedo's Media. Thanks for joining us. Taf, I have been on your podcast in the past. And
Absolutely.
if anyone doesn't know Taf, give us a brief introduction about yourself.
Thank you for inviting me on to the podcast. First and foremost, I'm a coach, but previous coaching. I was a youth community worker and worked in the community for about 25 years. And so I have a lot of experience working with people.
Can the viewers hear Taf?
Yeah, viewers, somebody's saying the sound is really bad. I don't know whose sound is bad, Facebook user. If you're commenting from within the group, then you'll probably notice that you have to click on a link with StreamYard before. The audio is echoing.
There seems to be an echo.
Okay. I don't know if that's any better. I don't know why that's happening. Let us know if that's improved somewhat. It's the first time on this system we've had guests, so I don't know why that might have happened. But all of the other systems are switched off. So I don't know what could be causing the echo here, unless it's from one of the sides of the guests. Oh, the guests are echoing. Okay.
Yeah, they're both echoing.
Okay, so they can hear us, but Taf, I think your sound was a bit muffled. So it's okay from our side, guys. I think it's from your side. So what I would suggest is when we're speaking, unmute. When we're not speaking, then mute. That might cure it somewhat. Okay, so yes, thank you for the brief introduction, Taf. And Taf also, if you don't know, does coaching with his better half in marital stuff, and you should go and check that out. Abid, brief introduction from you.
Where do I start?
That's a good
You've
question.
caught him off guard. haven't you?
Here's your 60-second pitch. You're usually the one who's hosting events.
Everybody had insurance and chutney and chat.
Okay, perfect. Insurance, chutney and chat. I know Abid is also a certified coach. We did our certifications together. And he's mentored at university students as well. So don't sell yourself so short, Abid. So thank you for joining us, everybody. Now, guys, just to break this down a little bit, there's often a very big misunderstanding between the viewers and people who are looking into subscribing towards coaching and mentoring services. They sometimes use the terms synonymously. They think they're the same thing. Surprisingly, mentors and coaches also do that. So, first of all, we need to clarify the difference between a coach and a mentor. And Ali and I were having this discussion earlier on. You could actually add more titles into the hat there. With teachers or consultants and also, all sorts of different accolades. But there's a distinct difference between coaching and mentoring. Now, from my side, just to give you a brief summary, a coach isn't somebody who tells you what to do. The coach is not the person to tell you need to do this and you need to do that to fix yourselves and fix your life and fix everything else, your business and everything else that goes into the pot. If anyone's doing that to you and they're telling you they're a coach, unfriend them, block them, and then don't talk to them ever again. That's not what a coach does. A mentor, however, does that. The mentor leads you. The mentor draws their experiences. The mentor draws their knowledge, their successes, and then possibly holds you by the hand figuratively and takes you towards a more successful route or to the next stage of where you're at, whether that be personally or whether that be in your business. The coach, however, is there to guide you through intelligent questioning techniques. The coach's role is to explore you, your mind, your thoughts, your desires, your motivations, your inspirations, and help you derive to those conclusions by yourself, not give you the answers. Am I right, fellas? Thank you. So we have a nod of approval from Taf. So basically, this is a very short but summarized difference between a coach and a mentor. Oftentimes we see people who are advertising their coaching services or having a discussion with other people and they're saying, you know what, you need to do this, you need to do that, you have to do this and you have to do that. So we have lots of different people out there from different walks of life who want to offer their services, but unfortunately some of them don't even know what they are themselves. They don't know whether they're coaches or the mentors or teachers or consultants.
Well, what's the difference? I mean, when do you need which one? So when would you need a coach? When would you need a mentor?
Great question. Let's bring our guests into this. Taf, let's have your view on this. When do you need which one? When do you need a coach and when do you need a mentor?
So when I think about mentor, it's someone who's been there for a name and has a t-shirt for it. and you want to be in the place where they are right now. Okay. And the mentor will guide you along the path, give you the advice, information, the tools that you're able to reach that destination. The coach, however, sees you as resourceful, and that's a distinction. You have the capacity within, yet you're not able to.
Sorry, just one second. Gentlemen, have you got us on a loudspeaker in the studio?
No.
Okay, because that's what seems to be the echo.
Well, the viewers saying that they don't hear echoes when we're talking, but they're hearing echoes when the guests are talking.
Yeah, so there's a playback. There's a slight delayed playback.
Really odd.
Speaking of technical issues, our Instagram viewers are unable to hear the guests.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Which
true.
again, another thing I've not quite thought of.
Never mind. Okay. I don't know if this makes any difference. If you can continue speaking, guys, if you let us know if you hear any difference with what I've just done now.
Yeah, I think we're still echoing.
Yeah.
Do you think it could be the mics? The mics that we've doubled up? Should we plug Instagram?
Possibly. Which mics? These?
Yeah.
I don't know because they're not on Facebook. These are on Instagram.
Then again, it's not these that are.
No, it's the guest side, so I don't know. Okay, just to summarize what Taf was saying, the mentor is the person who's been there, who's done that, got the T-shirt, possibly even grown out of it, and you want to be in the position that the mentor is in. And you want the resources of the mentor, and you want the guidance of the mentor, and the knowledge of the mentor, possibly contacts of the mentor, where the mentor can take you to those places. The coach, on the other hand, is a place of resourcefulness. So, you want to expand on that, Taf? Let's see if we can.
Yeah, absolutely. So, it's hard to be a coach, to be a mentor. Everybody and their friend wants to give you advice, right? I've been there, done it, I've got it, and it's difficult to hold yourself back sometimes. And I found that one of the most difficult things right at the beginning to be a coach, and that was because I was so used to being a mentor and an advisor. So a coach has to step back, right? Can you hear me, guys? Still? Yeah,
that's better now, actually.
Yes, it's fantastic. Yeah,
but we can't hear you two in the studio now.
Yeah, I just mentioned that I muted us whilst Taf was talking, just to see if it makes any
better.
Fantastic. Yeah. So what the coach will do is, like you said before, right at the beginning, is that the powerful questions will make you think critically about what you're about to do, your decisions, your trajectory of life, and help you to dig deep down and ask you the questions around why you want to make a certain decision, what your drivers, what your values, what your beliefs. And all that is an art form to be able to hold space for someone, to be able to look within themselves, to find the answers for themselves. And that is so much more powerful, because when that person arrives at that destination of the light bulb moment, it's like, I actually get this, right? And I've always had this in me, but I didn't have that person to help me facilitate that conversation. So a coach really helps to guide you along the way, with you looking within yourself, finding the resources within.
Perfect. Hopefully you guys heard that clear, because I muted us at this end whilst Taf was speaking. I'll do the same when Abid's speaking as well, just so that we're on the same sheet. Excellent. And I'm of the same opinion, and Abid and I have had discussions about this before, and I know he's of the same opinion as well. So to summarize, Abid, when would you look for a coach, and when would you look for a mentor from your perspective?
I think it's the same as both you and have said. A coach and a mentor, there's a distinct difference. I'll give you an example of boxing. I mean, the boxing coach will train you outside the ring, all the combinations and what to do, but they won't actually get in the ring and fight the fight for you. A mentor is somebody who will have been in the ring, has been there, done it, and will tell you true life experiences. The same for the universities where we do some mentoring. The teachers effectively are coaches. They're teaching the students the theory of business, but then they need mentors who are real life business people to go in and share their experiences. And for me, that's the distinct difference. I'm echoing again.
Yeah, I unmuted myself for a second there. That's why. It's like Cameron says, I don't think a mentor needs to have all the accolades or been there to prove himself as a mentor, because some people could be naturally gifted with wisdom, but haven't had their moment to prove it. Just my take on it. Okay. I see it. I get it. But when you're going out to procure the services of a mentor, how would you do that? Somebody based on their wisdom or somebody based on results?
Results all day long.
Exactly. So, whilst you may know people within your personal circles who have the wisdom or who have great ideas and who can take you to certain places, when you're paying for a service, you're likely to be doing more due diligence before you decide who it is that I'm going to give my money to. And some mentors charge an arm and a leg. I know mentors charge 20 odd grand at a time, and I know coaches who want to get to that stage as well, but the stuff that they come out with is atrocious. Some of the stuff that you hear from some of these coaches and selling their coaches is absolutely crazy. I was showing Ali earlier on. There's this guy called Mike Winnett. I don't know if any of you have heard of them. Samila mentions MLM mentors. I know what, I've seen her posts on social media. She's really got it in for these people on the MLM networks. So Mike Winnett is a guy who does this thing called Contrapreneur Bingo. He's basically, he trashes all the big boys, Grant Cardone and, so these kind of people. And he has a list of things that he looks for. I've got that list in front of me. I don't know whether you can see this, right? So it's like a bingo sheet where he needs to pick out whether these people are saying these things. And I'm sure the viewers or people who are watching this, including yourselves, guys, you'll come across some of these. So when somebody is selling a blueprint to success, that's like an alarm bell should be ringing. When they're stacking lots of offers within the offers, okay, another alarm bell should be ringing. When they're inflating value, when they're saying to you, today, you're not going to need to pay £20,000. You're not even going to be needing to pay £15,000. We're not even asking you for £10,000. Today, we're only asking you for £247 or £297. And the number ends with a 7. Okay, so that's another, they say, look out for them. Inflated value, wishful identification, talking about big cars, and they say, okay. And I think one of the sisters were mentioning on the, I think it was Shireen who mentioned in the comment section about write yourself a check for £2 million or £20 million and stick it on your wallpaper and have a look at that every day. They also have some kind of a bullshit backstory, which they rely on to build credibility. They promise you unrealistic results, heavily discounted products, bonus stacks. There's a product pitch. They have to establish their authority, and they want you to take action, but at your own expense and not theirs. I'm sure this all sounds very familiar to you guys.
Well, can I just bring your attention to some gurus out there, and literally people who self-proclaim they're gurus, right? They've been there, hidden away for a few years, really found themselves. And now what they've done is they've become part of that well-oiled, let's say, capitalist machine. They're raking it in. And I mean, literally, like hundreds of thousands of people going through programs. And there's a disparity between what they claim who they are to what in actual effect is happening in real life. And you can read between the lines. You don't need to be wise to kind of read when someone's trying to give you this scarcity mode, right? That's what you're alluding to there, right? You must buy now, otherwise this offer is going to go, or it's a once in a lifetime deal, and if you miss it now, that's it. It's like, it's a play on words, it's a play on emotions, it's trying to get you to get something. People want success, right? Success is a different thing for different people. People want success and they want to have it, but what we have, unfortunately, is people want to get it quick. So it's that culture of fast food, right? We want it today, and I want to get to this place very quickly. Nothing happens of a great stature overnight. Nothing does, right? It takes time. People sometimes have worked for years and years and years perfecting their craft, and then they're saying, okay, this is what I'm providing, and the proof is in the pudding, right? When you have someone who can articulate themselves, when someone can give you the results, when you're in the Zoom room or some platform, and you can really hear where they're coming from, you can hear it in their voice, you can hear it in the words they're saying and the words they're using, it's convincing. But when you get someone who actually tries to persuade you emotionally, right, to part with your hard-earned money, I think that's unethical, and that's really problematic. It's really unethical. And I think with age comes wisdom, and you can usually, more often than not, you can see straight through it. And I can't understand how people think that they can pull wool over your eyes and claim they can give you X, Y, and Z in a short space of time when things don't happen like that. I mean, that happens to a very few people in this whole world. Very few people, maybe just by chance, right place, right time. But for the majority of us, it's just wishful thinking.
Absolutely. And I think that the word you used there was unethical. There's a lot of unethical, misguided selling out there. And I put out an Instagram post earlier on that I compared it to bir chuff chuff, because when people are vulnerable and they're heading down a spiral, they kind of sometimes want a quick way out, and up these so-called mentors with that magic pill, which comes at a cost. There's no quick fix solution. I've been in business for 20 plus years, and I'm sure all of us, we've learned from our own mistakes. We've grown, we've made mistakes, we've improved things. And I also don't believe that one mentor is the fix for everything, because I have several people around me that I follow. Some have traits that I love, some have traits that I don't quite agree with. So you take the good and you leave the bad and you move on. And everybody's individual, and everyone's needs are individual, and everyone's requirements are individual, everyone's thoughts are individual, and everyone's goals are individual as well. So for one person to say, give me 65 grand and I'll change your life, you need to go buy a house. That will change your life, right? Investing in in another individual, I don't care how successful they are. You cannot emulate them until you make that change within your mindset. And it's the mindset that actually takes you there. And if you haven't got that mindset, you can have the best mentors and the best coaches and the best people around you. Until you don't change your ways and your thoughts, it ain't going to happen.
And that's very important, isn't it? Because if you're, it's like a coach has to be in a resourceful mind state to be able to coach in the first place. Otherwise, you're doing a disservice to your coachee. Similarly, you have to establish whether the person is coachable. And if that person is not coachable, you have to be totally honest with them, rather than giving them or getting them to set up a standing order for a couple of £1,000 a month, knowing full well that this person is not going to change their ways. And that's where we get morality and ethics, which comes into it. And this is what it's one of the things that Victoria has mentioned. When she's seen people, £65,000 plus for 90 days. That's and especially when people can't afford a few £100s, Ali. We have people who are living on the breadline, and
I've seen people borrow money from other people to pay mentors because they've been sold a dream.
Yes, I remember that.
And the thing is, when you when you intervene and try and stop them or kind of advise them against it, they sometimes think that maybe you're hindering their progression, or that you don't want them to do it because they may actually gain something out of it. people need to do the due diligence and find out who they're giving their money to. And a lot of these people, unfortunately, I mean, social media, it's very easy to create a false economy on social media, and it's very easy to kind of send out a perception of something that you're actually not.
Yeah, we've seen plenty of them. I think there are a lot of social media, in inverted commas, influencers out there.
And then I also question the fact that if you are a multimillionaire, why are you teaching other people how to be multimillionaires as well? I mean, I'm an insurance broker, and I've been doing that for 20 plus years. I don't go around teaching people how to sell insurance because that's my trade. So
you know what, Abid, on that note, here's something which is quite interesting. We were again discussing this earlier on. Ali he runs a dessert business, and he knows how to run the business and he knows how to make desserts. But by his own admission, he doesn't count himself as a coach for somebody else to be running the same types of business. It's a different skill set. When I was, I mean, personally, I mean, I was trained to coach people in sales initially, and that was after myself breaking records in selling. Then I was trained to coach people in sales. Bear in mind, this was not a non-certified training; it was industry specific. So whilst I was trained to coach people in sales, I could then coach people in sales, not coach them on how to run a business. It's a completely different discipline. However, I became a business mentor with Business Link, which was a government initiative later, but that wasn't until later. Now, if I'm a successful businessman and I'm asked, if I'm asked for tips or, have a discussion, that's one thing. But if I start to proclaim myself as a mentor, mentoring requires certain types of skills. Coaching requires certain types of skills. Teaching requires specific type of skills. You cannot be a very good or a type of a teacher who is good at what they do or teach effectively unless you are aware of certain things and certain teaching techniques, which is why teachers go for training before they start teaching.
If you have a degree in mathematics, you're not a maths teacher.
I got a degree in law. I don't go around teaching the law.
Absolutely. You have to do the PGCE, and you have to learn the teaching practices.
Yeah, 100%. So, guys, what is it that you look for? If you were to give the viewers any tips, if you were going to ask them, like, if you're at a stage where, or a viewer is at a stage where they need to look for coaching. I think Ali needs some coaching right now. He's deep in some real, intense thoughts. I don't know what he's thinking right now.
I'm taking in from you guys. I mean, obviously, one of the probably key questions, I guess, perhaps that we've missed is who needs a coach and who needs a mentor and why? So, for example, I think Abid gave the example earlier that somebody borrowed money to pay a coach.
Yeah.
Somebody who's perhaps on the breadline, what would they possibly need a coach or a mentor for at that point?
You see, what happens is people sell the idea of, it's the example of beers, which Abid mentioned earlier. Like, you have these spiritual healers who prey on vulnerable people to give them a solution. I mean, not to say everyone's the same, but a lot of the times they charge thousands of pounds to write something or blow something, to fix all their problems. And when people are in a really bad place emotionally, they are taken advantage of. Now, there's that type of or group of people who would buy their happiness or would be willing to sacrifice so much to get out of these issues that they're facing on a daily basis. But there are also people who genuinely want to improve. So wanting a coach, whether you need a coach or a mentor, is not always determined, in my opinion, by the person who feels they need a mentor or a coach. It's something which needs to be honestly discussed with mentors and coaches to decide whether, I mean, if the coaches and mentors are ethical, they will say, my friend, you need a mentor for this and not coaching services. And a coach would say, my friend, or the mentor would say, my friend, you need a coach for this and not mentoring services. These are two different things. That's where ethics comes into it. So whether you need a coach or a mentor will be determined by so many different factors. It's maybe you need both. It's like Abid said, he has many people to approach from as mentors. So
would you say for majority of people that don't really need either?
it depends.
I
on
mean,
what
I
stage
think
of life.
there's probably more
I think
coaches.
I think you get to a stage where, yeah, you're quite right. You may not need a mentor at the early stages. And if you do network, and I'm going to plug the networking scene because I'm such a big advocate, but if you do network with the right people, you can learn from people. But then you get to a ceiling, which if you need to get through that, then you may need a mentor to take you to the next stage. But initially, where a lot of people get sucked in is at the early stages where they've set up a business or they've set up a consultancy. It's not really working. They don't know which way to turn. They see a post on social media about how some guy's made millions and he's charging them X amount, and he's promising to kind of change their life within a week or 2 weeks. And I think people get sucked into that. And I think that's the stage which is where businesses are very vulnerable sometimes. And rather than investing in one particular mentor or one particular individual, my way of thinking would be that go to networking events, meet the good, meet the bad, meet the ugly, meet the really good, and draw from them, because that's how we've done it. And I've been on this journey, and I've seen mentors in action. And 2015 and 16, I actually did go to a few mentoring sessions with a few mentors, and I seen what they were doing. I thought, what kind of malarkey is this? This is, I mean, there was this one group that I used to go to, and the mentee only needed the mentor to ring him every day in the morning and say, "Oi, today you're wearing a black tie." And for this privilege, he was charging him an arm and a leg. Literally, I mean, this is the God's honest truth, because I witnessed this myself. And I thought, what is going on here? Some people, they think they need mentoring, but all they need is a shoulder to cry on. All they need is a let-out point for themselves. So in the infancy stage of your business, and we've all been there, myself included, I think at that point it's very important to come out of your comfort zone, leave the ego at home, come out and engage with people, meet with people. From some you will learn how to, and from some you will learn how not to. Both of them are as important as the other. Then when you get to a certain level and you want to, break into the next barrier, at that point maybe you do need the services of a coach or a mentor who's been there, who's done it, and who can guide you, the best way to get there.
Can I chip in if that's okay? Great points there, brother Abid. In response to Brother Ali's question, do we need a coach or a mentor anyway? Sometimes we don't know, and when you don't know, right? And I'll give you my personal story. So after my divorce, I didn't actually feel I needed a coach per se, or the therapist, but I went into some depression, right? So I'm kind of 4 months, not feeling like myself. I lost my mojo, and I'm kind of just, life's passing me by. But it so happened that I came across someone who had the skill sets to be able to see that I needed the support. Now, I worked with this person for 8 solid months. And first-hand experience is that, number one, she was brilliant at her job. Number two, when I say you don't know, I uncovered some childhood trauma which I held for 40 years. I had no idea that this thing was actually traveling with me side by side for 40 years through both of my marriages. So sometimes you don't know, right? You don't know you need some help. But I think the question to us all is that if there's something within my life that I feel is not going right, maybe it's I've got some mental health issues, I've got some challenges, I'm not feeling great about myself, my self-esteem's down, emotionally I might be distraught, I lose my anger, or whatever, there may be multiple different issues. It's what you need to do is seek help. And we know actually in our own faith, the Prophet ﷺ said, he said, seek the cure. So it actually becomes incumbent upon us, if we have some life challenge, an illness or mental illness or physical illness, we need to seek the cure. We need to go to those people who are actually specialists in this area, who know their stuff. So the energy is different to when people charge you an extortionate price for their support. So on one side, the energy is to serve people because someone is struggling through something. On the other hand, someone else's energy as a coach is, you're going to get charged 30 grand to get this cure. And there's a huge difference between the two. And you can tell in a conversation when you speak to, I've spoken to people who I wanted support from in my business. And right off the bat, it's going to be 3.5K minimum. I said, okay. And this is how to find out when you want to work with someone. What am I going to get for that 3.5K? You're going to watch a bunch of videos. I said, well, I can watch those anywhere. I can do that hard work, and I work every single morning from 5 a.m. anyway. What's going to be different about this? Nothing. Right? So it's like, give me something different. I want to work with you. I want you to be able to guide me, hold my hand and say, look, I'm with you on this journey. And that's the key thing. When people are willing to be on that journey with you, you can message them, you can get in touch with them, you can say, look, okay, I'm struggling today. Can we book something in? And all that kind of stuff. Someone's genuine. When it's a case that, okay, hand over some money and I'll talk to you, I think the energy totally shifts.
And I think it comes down to having somebody hold you accountable as well. In the early stages, if someone's holding you accountable, that could be a spouse, that could be a family member. Realistically, that's all a mentor is doing at that stage. Holding you accountable, making you do what you say you're going to do.
Yeah, Ataf, I know you needed to get going, but just before you leave, for our viewers, because one of the main reasons we did this particular podcast on this subject was because everybody's becoming a coach or a mentor and stuff like that. For the coaches and mentors out there, we've obviously discussed and touched on points what coaches and mentees need to be thinking about. But for the aspiring coaches or potentially labeled coaches and mentors out there, what if any message do you have?
I would say because I have to go. The first thing I think I'm still going. Can you? Okay, I'm great. The echo's gone. The first thing I would say is that any aspiring people who want to be able to help people, and this is all about serving, right? It's not about business necessarily. I think business with coaching works, but the primary thing is that you serving people. If a person can really think about why they want to do what they want to do, right? I think that makes a world of difference. Why am I a married champion? Because I've been there, done it, and have 2 divorces to showcase, right? That I've kind of felt that pain. And I don't want other people to go through that, because I know there's some very specific things you can do, right? To be able to work through things sometimes. Now, if you know why you're doing something, your big why, right? Make sure that you're in it for the long game, because it's going to test you, especially when the finances are coming in, right? Because it doesn't work straight away off the bat. You're not going to make it overnight. And this dream that's sold to you is not necessarily true. Some of us have to hold a job on the side as well as do the coaching. So really think about, am I doing the right thing? And am I in this for the long game? And if you can answer those 2 questions, right, say Bismillah, and then make sure you be consistent in what you're doing.
Thank you very much, Taf. We're going to let you go because I know we've taken slightly more than what you... In fact, bang on, 7:45. So really appreciate you coming on. Appreciate you taking your time out and joining us and sharing your valuable insights. Have a good one. Take care, and we'll catch up with you another time. Now, Abid, now that we've got grips with you by yourself, you have and I have seen many coaches throughout our times, right? And we've seen coaches pop out of drainages and potholes and all sorts of places. So we've seen people become mentors and coaches off the back of what would be the right term to use here? Unconfirmed results or dubious pasts and questionable credentials.
Off the back of failures.
Off the back of failures. So, we have so many different criterias for how we need to kind of establish whether a coach is worth, or a credible coach, in fact, or somebody who you should take or buy coaching services from. Tell me, in your opinion, if someone's looking or is being sold a coaching service, what is it that they would need to, the coachee, potential coachee, prospective coachee, needs to be looking at before making a decision whether this person is right for me or not? What would you say is a part of the
the thing is, go beyond Facebook, go beyond TikTok, and look on LinkedIn, because LinkedIn is a very credible way of one's credibility. You know who they're connected to, you know what they've done previously. It's not a blag on there. You can't really hide much on there or lie about much on there, because it's a professional network. Facebook, or a lot of social media, you can create fake profiles and fake images. There was a documentary a few weeks ago about a chap in London, I think, a mentor, who absolutely, he earned millions by just playing these games and creating fake TikTok profiles and Instagram profiles. So do your due diligence, and I can appreciate a lot of people, when they are engaging with a coach or a mentor, is sometimes out of desperation, because they're that far gone in their business or in their life that they're looking for a way out. Don't rush it, because you're parting with your hard-earned money. Make sure you do your due diligence on them. What has that person achieved? What are they in life? How come they've got the time to be coaching you? If they're so successful in what they're doing, how come they've got the time to be charging you to coach you or to mentor you? We're business people. I don't get time. And sometimes it can be too good to be true.
I think that's a good point, actually. If somebody's that successful in their own business and now they're going to start coaching other people in that same field, really, where do they find the time?
The thing is, we all have similar, Majid. And I got in today at literally 10 to 7. I haven't eaten yet. I'm doing this. I'm going back out again, and I'll be eating my dinner at 10:30 this evening. Right? We're not successful. We don't claim to be coaches, but yet we've been doing what we've been doing for the past 20, 25 years, and we're good at what we do. Do I have time to coach or mentor anybody else? Or, well, do I have time to charge somebody to mentor them? And if I did, would I be doing them justice?
And I think it comes back to that same point of, I think Abid touched upon this earlier, that network, be in touch with a whole range of people. And to be fair, if you've networked well and you've got friends in sort of all fields and categories, then do you even need a coach at all? I think the answer for most people is no, you really don't. If you're already in business, which by the sounds of it, you guys are saying that most people who need a coach or a mentor are already in the early infancy of their business, right? So, 70, 80, 90% perhaps is done. They just need to polish up a little bit. One, it'll come with experience. Secondly, talk to other people, network a little bit, talk to people in a similar field. I don't know. I personally think the whole game of coaches and mentors is a waste of time. I just think,
they don't call him controversial for nothing, do they?
No, seriously, everybody.
No, I can appreciate your point, Ali. I can really, really appreciate your point. I get where you're coming from, and it can seem daunting, but having been there and running my business in all the wrong ways for 15 years. And then fixing my ways, I will say there is a value. There is certainly a value, but it's not all about one mentor. It's not about pledging my allegiance to one individual. It's about a variety of people, but a variety of people that have a good mindset. And you know what they say: if you sit with millionaires, they'll make you into a millionaire. If you sit with poor people, they'll make you poor. And if you pick your company wisely and choose the people that you associate with wisely, they will lift your game and grow you as an individual. Then you do get to a point where you know what you've done all that, and if you wish to go to the next level, at that point, you do need to engage with a coach or somebody who can actually take you there.
So you're going to start that again. Go on.
Abid, sorry, what's your take on people who have just sort of, completed some kind of course themselves and then go straight into coaching others? Because we see that a lot.
Anybody can sell anything out there. It's down to the prospective client or the mentee to do their due diligence. Are they happy with somebody who's just about passed a little £300 exam? Literally, it's down to the mentee. People will sell everything and anything. It's down to the mentee to make that decision. That am I willing to pay a lot of money to this chap who just finished this, who just completed this 6-week course online?
Abid, just to cut you short there are people who have come and delivered a Pearls of Wisdom segment in Chutney and Chat, and then they've gone on to proclaim that they're public speakers, like professional public speakers. Now, there's a difference between public speaking and professional public speaking. And these are people, for those of you who don't know, Abid runs Chutney and Chat, Pathway to Grow. And these are networking events. And there's two segments. One is the main segment for the main speaker, and the second segment is for speakers who don't traditionally speak, so new speakers or aspiring speakers, and they have a smaller segment where they share some pearls of wisdom, something to for people to think about or take away. And it's probably the first time a lot of people have spoken publicly like that in such a big room or a big crowd, and then they've used that as leverage to taken the pictures from the event and gone on to proclaim that they're professional public speaker. Now, professionally, when you do something professional, you get paid for it. So, although I've done hundreds of public speaking events, if I've not charged anybody for any of those events, then I'm not gonna, even though I might be very experienced, I'm not gonna feel comfortable calling myself a professional public speaker. There's a difference. So I think just to wrap this up, Ali, did you have anything to add to that? Because we're coming close to the end of the segment. Just to wrap it up, Abid, by the way, thank you so much for taking your time out.
No. And it's a great topic, and it's great to have you lot back on the screens.
Thank you so much.
I seen the post yesterday, and I thought I have to be part of this. We've been around for a while now, and we've seen a lot of silly things happening, and a lot of vulnerable people that have been consumed and washed up in this whole fake mentorship.
Yeah, 100%. I think you know what. For me personally, if there's any takeaways which I would suggest people or viewers take from this particular discussion is something we've not really gone into a lot, but I think it's pertinent to do that within this last 10 minutes. If you're looking at somebody and somebody's portraying themselves across to be something, and they're selling a service, make sure you do your due diligence. But how do you do your due diligence? There are several ways you can do due diligence. Number one, find out what is their experience in coaching in particular or mentoring in particular. Somebody might be a millionaire in business, but if they've never mentored anybody and they haven't got proof to confirm that they have and results to prove it, then why would you want to be the guinea pig in their lives to get you on that tick box sheet? So first of all, ask for evidence. Number two, ask for any practical kind of courses that they may have done, or any certifications they may have had. Now, I'm not suggesting that every coach has to be a certified coach, and I'll tell you why. And this is a point of controversy here, because again, it's like I mentioned before, I was trained to coach sales professionals. And I did that for many, many years. I didn't do a certified coach for that, certified coaching training for that. But I was trained by the very best in that particular industry. So when I went out coaching sales professionals or people in sales, I kept it limited within that field. If I went out and started selling my coaching services for life coaching or any other type of coaching, then that's something that I'll be doing wrong, and I'll be deceiving the public by. Until I did those courses afterwards and I got certificates for them afterwards. But until I did that, I did not portray myself as a life coach or any other kind of a coach for that matter. So secondly, check for their certifications. Number 3, ask for references. Now, if the coach is any bloody good, he or she will not be shy away from giving you names or at least people who have used their services to say, okay, these are people who have used my services and this is what they've got to say about it. If you want to want me to make an introduction, have a chat with them, see what they tell you and get some independent views. Are they even insured? Number of people who are running coaching businesses and coaching services, some of them haven't even got insurance. They're not even registered as a business.
Insurance for
coaching. Like there are as a service provider, professional indemnity insurance. We've got an insurance broker here. You know what I mean? There are so many different types of insurances you can have as a business. There are insurances you can have. Check for everything that you could potentially check for within reason. Obviously, don't ask their waist size or anything like that. But check for the reasonable things that you need to check for to establish whether this person is legitimate. Now, this person may be legitimate business owner and a successful one at that. But if they haven't coached anyone before, then they're not a successful coach. Don't mix the two together. This is where a lot of people actually go wrong. They'll see somebody, they'll say, oh my goodness, such a successful business person, I'm going to get I'm going to be coached by them. And people do that. They sell their services like that. And they'll leverage or use that platform to leverage themselves into something that they've never done before. And frankly, they may not even be very good at it. This is the problem. They might be crap at it, right? So we need to make sure that whenever we go out searching or we're aspiring to be or we are inspired by somebody who's on social media and they're selling their services like there's no tomorrow, they could have the fanciest photos, the nicest of clothes and the biggest and flashiest cars and wearing Rolexes or whatever. But ultimately, if they haven't performed in the field that they're selling, then that doesn't make them successful in that particular field. Yeah? So those are my last 2 pence worth. Abid, any final thoughts?
No, I've just it's a topic that we could talk about forever and ever and ever. But what they say, there's there's always a new guard coming through, and every few months the course will change and the mentees change. And it's a very, 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 very vicious circle, which unfortunately people are becoming victim of daily. As you said, just do your due diligence. Make sure that the people that you are engaging with and the money that you are parting with, that then people actually know what they're doing, and they actually say, and they've actually done what they say they've done. Personally, somebody who's that successful, I don't see why they'd be wasting their time coaching or mentoring somebody else. If they've got a successful business, it can't be too successful if they're trying to charge you 10, 15, 20 grand to teach you. And start networking, start meeting with people who are in similar situation as you, because collectively, you may just come up with the solutions.
Thank you very much, Abid. Appreciate once again, you're taking the time out to join us. I'm going to take you off screen now. Have a good day, have a great evening, and I'll catch up with you soon. Take care.
Thank you very much, people.
So, Ali, yes, we are coming to a close. It's been an interesting discussion. I think one of the key issues here was everywhere you look, there are coaches of some kind. There are mentors of some kind. A lot of the times, coaches and mentors don't even know how to sell their services. So you might have somebody who's certified, but not very good at their job. You might have somebody who's not certified, not experienced, but really good at selling themselves, but not very good at the actual coaching or mentoring part of it. So, it's a bit of a conundrum when people aren't doing their due diligence. Your final thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think you guys have summed it up pretty nicely. I think we've mostly focused on, perhaps the people that do need a coach. Do they need a coach? Do they need a mentor? At what point do they need a mentor? And when do they need a coach? I think my take on it is I'm still of the opinion that most people don't. You're probably not at that point, for the majority at least anyway. If you've got to the point where, you've set up your business and you're experienced in something that you're good enough to invest your own money and time into, then the rest will come through time, through experience, through your own effort. Maybe watch a motivational video on YouTube, save your thousands, watch a few motivational TikToks, get some, sound bites and stuff, get you going in the morning. And then, further down the line, if you hit a stalemate or you've stagnated or whatever, then I think you should kind of have to go out your way to find a coach. Now, if I was to open my Facebook or TikTok now, I'll have a whole bunch of coaches trying to sell me something on my feed, in my inbox, whatever. I don't think I'm going to take any of them up on their offer. I think if somebody is that good, they shouldn't have to approach me. I should be hearing about them, their previous clients, their previous, mentees, etc., etc. So, yeah, again, chances are you probably don't need either one.
There is a possibility that you don't need either one, but there is a possibility that you might need one or maybe both. I'm of that opinion. I understand that there are resources out there, there are expertise out there, and there are people who can help you even just simply rethink what you're already doing to get you to understand your own circumstances better. And one of the things that I always touch on is, how well do we even know ourselves? Who are you? Who are you really? Unless we know who we are, we can't even know what's good or bad for us. We may select things, we may take up on things, we may explore things which may be really good for us or may not be good for us at all. But unless we understand who we are, and for something like that, this is where a good coach can help you establish. But one final thing that I want to leave people with is, don't just select coaches for the sake of coaches. Now, there might be coaches out there who are really good, but here's the caveat. If the coach does not share the same values and the value system as you, they're not the right coach for you. I was talking to a nephew, and in fact, there's something I mentioned on somebody else's Facebook post not too long ago. My nephew was asking me about whether I'm still reading on philosophical stuff and philosophy and thinking about these kind of things. And he was telling me about this one particular author that he'd come across who was talking about self-care and looking after number one and, how important that is and stuff like that. And I asked him one question. I said, look, what is that person's value system? What's their beliefs? Because in my value system, when our beliefs, as in mine and my nephew's, theologically, there are certain things which are very different to the beliefs and value systems of somebody who doesn't follow the same theology.
Yeah.
So I cannot take that person as serious as somebody who may be of the same faith or theology or value system as me. This is the difference. And otherwise, you're going to have this dichotomy of beliefs, and you're going to have this confused state within you where you are being led by somebody down a certain path, but your own state of mind and your own beliefs are taking you somewhere else, or they're supposed to be somewhere else. There's going to be a clash.
And this is where it comes back to what Abid was saying earlier, that you take the good and you leave the bad.
Yeah, but how do you know what's good and how do you know what's bad?
For your own self?
Yeah, unless you know yourself.
Okay, well, again, if you don't know yourself, then and you're going to pay somebody to tell you who you are.
No, this is the difference. It's not.
Problems.
No. Ali, you'd be surprised. I bet if I spent half an hour with you to ask you certain types of questions, you may struggle to answer them clearly. There might be some unsureties.
About my own self.
Yeah. And not just your own self, but where you are going where you need to be going. I'm not one to give the answers as a coach. As a coach, I'll be just asking the questions. But to answer those questions aren't always easy. And to seek clarity, this is where a coach helps you seek clarity. That's where in life, when you come across certain maybe opportunities or challenges, you decide very clearly which route you're going to take and which route you're not, what decisions you're going to make, what decisions you're not. And that's where a coach is helpful.
Up until about maybe, I don't know, what, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, where were all these coaches? You know,
I think they've just come out of the woodworks quite a lot. I think it's like having beards. Everybody wants one now. Nowadays, it's a fashionable thing. Nowadays, it's a fashionable
Speak for yourself.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for hanging on. All of you who have stayed with us throughout the whole show, we both appreciate it. Do follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and join our Facebook group, the Bedos Media. Thank you for your kind comments and views. They always add value into our discussions, and do keep us in your duas. For now, it's a good night for us in the meantime, and we will see you next week, same time, same place. Have a good one. Take care.